Okay, recording now. Okay, testing. Okay. So, functioning. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Term 3, 2024. And this is my model class of this time. Okay. Okay, I should absolutely love my partner. Okay. Hashtag best class. Okay, testing. Okay, right. I made a few more as well, a few more new ones. Later you can come here and get one from me if you want one new one. Okay. Share screen. Check. Testing. Okay. Right. Okay. First of all, we are going to run through the pages from starting from page 5 to make sure with those of us who are ready to say I want to submit, I am like complete. So starting with the first one, are we like cool? Everything's done here. I'm ready to complete hand in this. And then, so the key idea was yesterday we talked about the two methods. Not really two methods, but one is the concept. So the concept of how the shortcut works is because when you are multiplying any number by 10, 100, or 1,000, it increases in this quantity, it moves outwards in a place value. So according to this here, it looks like it moves right to the larger place value. Then the shortcut that most of us have learned from different sources have learned from the different sources, there's this shortcut trick that we learn is moving the decimal point. This is also shared in your textbook. So, and then the advice that I gave you was to make sure you have space to do your working. If you realize the digits are very cramped up, then you use a different space for writing working. Okay, then we move on to multiply by 100 and 1,000. The same idea applies, the concept applies. When I multiply a number by 100 or 1,000, I move the number outwards in its quantity along the place value chart. So here it looks like the number moves right. Then the shortcut was moving the decimal point to the left. Actually, they mean the same thing, right? Yeah. Why? Because the decimal point determines the whole and the part. So when you move the decimal point towards the right, it's the same as saying moving the number to the left. So in this case, the decimal point doesn't move. Okay? So it was the same idea as this one. I'm moving the number left and right. So the same idea as the moving cards. So I'm moving the cards left and right. So when I multiply, I'm moving the number to the bigger place value. When I'm dividing, I'm moving the number to a smaller place value. Yeah. See? So this is like moving the numbers along the moving the number along the place value chart. But the shortcut method that was shared. Oh, okay, yeah. Let me try. What happens if you press divide by 100? Oh, and the place value. There is another new place. But what do you think will be the answer? If I divide by 10, 0.5, 50 cents become 5 cents. So if I divide by another 10, it will be 0.05. That's correct. Okay, so back to the shortcut. So one of the challenge is people get confused and start to mix up when division comes in. So what am I moving? Am I moving the point, decimal point? Am I moving the number? It's easy to get confused. So once your memory gets a bit fuzzy, you get confused, then you end up doing the wrong thing. So you need to ask yourself how can you help yourself to remember. Some of you may be like, I need to understand how this works. I understand already, I remember. Some of you may be saying like, I just need to do more questions and more practice. So the shortcut for multiplying by 100 here is moving the decimal point. Again, the same strategy applies. I make sure I have enough space. If I realize there's not enough space to do the curly hopping, I put it at the side. And I put in the zeros to fill in the place after I do the hopping. Okay, so that's the same. Then for 1,000 is the same thing. So 1.4 times 1,000. I will not do the hopping inside here. It may be quite challenging to do this. You may tend to make mistakes. So if you need, you write it outside here. And then you do your shortcuts hopping. Okay, now, so we talked about this yesterday as well. We move on to the last page. So as we are going to go through, you check if you have completed every page. That's what checking means. So in the exam time, you also do the same way. I've completed my exam paper. I'm running through a check. I look through every page to make sure that I complete every question. Okay, then the level 2, when we move on to the level 2, we multiply by multiples of tens, hundreds, and thousands, such as times 30, times 70, times 50. Then yesterday, the conclusion that we made is that from Ansel, he says, I can multiply by 7 first, then I multiply by 10, or I multiply by 10 first, then I multiply by 7, in any order. But there's a preference sometimes. So like Christabel was sharing, I will multiply by 10 first, so I can get rid of the decimal. So after I get rid of the decimal, I deal with it as a whole number. So quite easy. Okay, so this expectation for division later stage. So if you want to do the worksheet entirely by your own for division, that's okay. Given that you have worked down all your working steps in a neat and tidy manner, on the left side, the equations line by line. On the right side, the workings. Is that okay? So this expectation stays for division. Okay, so same throughout the next few questions. So this is the example that I gave yesterday. One in blue and one in green, showing the 2 different ways. I can work by times 5 first, then times 10, or times 100 first, then times 5. So I mentioned that my preference here will be I times 100 first, the green one. Because I can get rid of the decimal, and then I'll multiply by just 1. For Ansel says you will multiply by 5 first, which is fine. Both methods give you the same answer. Then go to thousands. Okay. Then I said for thousands, then maybe I would choose to do times thousands, times 3 first. Because let's say if I times 1,000, 0.35 So 0.35 times 1,000. I'm going 1, 2, and 3. So it will be 350 times 3. So I'll write 350 times 3. Which is still manageable. But let's say if I do 6.8 times 1,000, So 6.8 times 1,000, 1, 2, and 3. It will be 6,800 times 2. In this case, I would actually, for me, I would prefer to do 6.8 times 2 first, then times 1,000. Because I think the number of digits are lesser. Yes. Because there are lesser digits to deal with, so I will choose to do what answer says times the 2 first, rather than 6,800 times 2, which actually both will give me the same answer. So it's really, you need to, so the most important point I said yesterday was not about completing the worksheet. Completing the worksheet is important, of course. But what I'm really emphasizing is that you are very clear your working steps and you're very clear of your preferences in your steps. How I prefer to do my work. This one you need to be very clear. Okay? All right. So the last bit was the word problems. Then answers start coming and say, I haven't done this question yet. Then after that, I pointed you to see 0.35 times 100. Doesn't this look like here? 0.436 times 400. It's just that now the question is presented as a short word problem. So for this, I'll do my erase as usual. So one eraser is one eraser is 35 cents. So 100 erasers will be 0.35 times 100. Okay, so this question is quite relatively simple. $35. Is that okay? Then the more difficult one was the back, right? 50 pieces of ribbon, each piece is 1.5. So what's the total length? So 1 unit is 1.8 meter. 50 units is 1.8 times 50. So I will choose to do 1.8 times 10 first, then times 5, which is 18 times 5, which is 90. Yes. Most important part is to remember your units. Okay? Now, that was 2 of the word problems out of the 4 word problems on this page. Okay, so at this stage, if you feel confident, I've completed everything to page 12. I've checked all my units, all written already. Okay, everything is nice and good, neat and tidy. I'm ready to submit. You can come to the front and drop your worksheet here. Okay. As I said yesterday, the deadline for submitting this worksheet is actually tomorrow. So if you're not ready to have it, it's fine. Okay. But I urge you to, before you work on the petition, get this completed. Okay. Now, okay, so we are ready to move on to the division part. Okay. You realize that it's a direct opposite of what multiplication is. So the same thing applies. So let's say I have the same thing. So I made a new one here. I have I made plenty of new ones. 12. And I have other tips. Yeah. Any takers? Anybody wants the new ones, the cardboard ones? Come. I have made first come first serve. I made 12 new ones. Take this one. Paper. I can't take like here. Go. There you go. If the slit doesn't work very well, then you can use a scissors and trim it. No? Okay. Yep, I still have a few more. Anybody else want? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's say I am going with like $1. Okay, don't use one. One may be confusing. Let me use $2. So I write 2 at the one place. So we now multiply by 10, right? Okay. So I know if I'm multiplying by 10, I will move either the decimal point you can think that I'm moving the decimal point to the right and I'm moving the place to the left. So if it's 2 times 10, $2 times 10 will be $20. Right? Very correct. You can fix it later, okay? Like no, first please look first. I look first. Because we are really eager to move on to our task. Okay. So so $2 multiplied by 100 will give me $200. Same thing applies to whole number and decimals. So if I have 20 cents, which makes my 2 after the decimal point, 20 cents here, and 20 cents times 10, that gives me $2. 20 cents times 100 gives me $20. So if I were to increase the decimal point to, let's say, 0.02, like that, 2 cents, 2 cents. Then the same thing applies. 2 cents times 10, 20 cents. 2 cents times 100, $2. Okay? 2 cents times 1,000, $20. Okay, then we talk about division now. If I have $2, so the idea is anything that you multiply, it grows, right? Anything you divide, it shrinks, right? So if I have $2 and then I share, 10 people share out $2, they divide. I divide $2 to 10 people, right? Everybody will only get 20 cents, right? So for $2, if I get 100 people to share it out, everybody will only get 2 cents. Can you see how the digit is moving? The numeral is moving. Yeah. So if I start out with 0.2, 20 cents. If I start out with 20 cents and 10 people are sharing the 20 cents, each person will only get 2 cents. 10%. So I start out with 20 cents. If 10 people share it out, so 0.2 divided by 10, each person gets 2 cents. Okay? So this works the same way as the moving parts. So let's reset this. Just now the example I said was $2. So $2 shared by 10 people, everybody gets 20 cents. Now, then you realize the zero appears here. Okay? You need to pop in the zeros. Okay, now we are almost ready to move in to do the worksheet on the word. I'll just do the last bit of reminders. Okay, so later on for those of you who are doing the ALS, the work that completion is page 13 to 20. Okay, including the word problem segment. It's the exact same one like multiplication, but the opposite. So in this case, I'll just go through very briefly here. So like here, this is $10.01, 10.01. In the concept of place, right? In the concept of place, the $10 divided by 10, it will become 1. So in the concept of place, the whole number and the decimal parts move right side. The shortcut now, 10.01 divided by 10, the shortcut is now the decimal point here moving in the opposite way from multiplication. That was the shortcut. So that's how you end up with 1.001. So that is the same idea. So same, everything is exactly the same. Same tips as well. So if you feel that there's no space to do my working on this, you do it at the side. So 0.8 divide by 10. So I'll take the decimal point and I get 0.08. So here, if you are neat enough, it's okay to do your working directly on it. But the challenge here is that a lot of times the numbers are very close. Or some of you, you're handwriting. You write your numbers so close to each other, when doing the hopping like that, you get jumbled up and then you'll get the wrong answer. It becomes a careless mistake. So please be very careful to make sure that you write neatly and tidily. That's the expectation. Okay? Then I will jump to the 1,000. Like for example, you see these numbers here. There's no space to do the working. I will do it. I'll find the space to write it. If there's no decimal point, what to do? Make it there. Yeah, that's correct. So you know 15, no decimal point is a whole number. I put in a dot like how I would write $15. Then divide by 1,000. The shortcut is getting the decimal point to go three places. Pop in a 0 if necessary, 0.015. Okay, so the importance here is number 1, be careful. Number 2, make sure you have enough space to jump. If not enough space to do it directly on the question, do it on the side. Is that okay? Now, finally, these questions here. So you see this 4 divided by 2,000. If you recall, when you're primary 1 and primary 2, or primary 3 even, The teacher tell you 4 divided by 2000. Is it possible? They probably say not possible, right? They'll probably tell you that, hey, when you do division, the bigger number must be in front, something like that, right? Or when you do subtraction, the bigger number should be in front. Actually, that's not true. But at the point of time, that was what they have to say. They will say, because you have not learned fractions and decimals yet. So here, the decimals here are here. So if your friend say, okay, what is 4 minus 16? Huh? Correct or not? Can do? 4 minus 16. So in your primary school years, you think that 4 minus 16 is not possible. You don't have enough, right? How you minus? You have 4 pencils on, you only have $4. I want to take $16 from you. Is it possible? Not possible. But when you are going to go secondary school, then you'll be challenged with new ideas. That's called the negative numbers. So what does negative numbers actually mean? Like, so you only have $4, right? But I'll take $16 from you. Right? So how much money will you owe me, Kershin? That's correct. So that's the idea of it. But you are not going to do that in primary school. Okay, so here, it's like, you owe money to a loan shark. So, but I don't want to be a loan shark. I'm not going to ask Kershin to give me that money that he doesn't have. Okay. Now, so I think many of you, when you look at these kind of questions, you first need to throw away the thought that it's not possible. Okay? Okay, so here, right now, I'll say 2 methods again. The expectation is that you'll be very neat and tidy. Steps at one side. Steps at one side. Workings at one corner. Is that okay? Neat and tidy. Okay, so those of you who are ready and you want to do ALS entirely on your own, you may proceed outside, take the device, the mouse, if you need. I'm not sure if the headphones are there. If the headphones are there, you can take the headphones as well. If not, it's fine. Okay. You want to go toilet? Give me a while. Let me get this out. Okay. Wow, there's so many of you who feel that you can handle this on your own. That's great. Okay. Come, the few of you here, can you help me to give out these machines? Our class is until 11:10, right? Yeah. Yes, of course. This is what they need to complete. Uh, one common objective here. We can say 30 to 20. Okay? Okay? Everybody, regardless whether you are doing ALS, pay attention to me. This is the common objective for everyone. Is that clear? So at 11, That's the end of our maths lesson. So at 11:05, may I have your attention, please? Thank you. So at 11:05, here, at 11:05, I'm going to do the next selection. Okay? But if you are, but the expectation is not that you can read it. Okay? But if you are ready to read it, then that's good. Yeah. But you must ensure that you of the sentence and expectations are static. Okay? At 11:05, I will check with you where you are at this worksheet. So if you are working on the ALS at 11:05, the page number should be that you are on the worksheet should be somewhere in between. You understand? The ALS is supposed to help you with your worksheet. If at the end of 11:05, you tell me that you haven't even touched page 13 yet, then I think you can't do ALS. You understand? Okay? Alright? Because work is not done. Okay? Okay. Alright. From this point onwards, Shani, you see, you feel I see. What's our main objective, everybody? May I suggest you look at the worksheet first? Get started with the worksheet with me. Until you are confident that you go on the computer on your own. Okay, for me, it looks like presentation not in. Okay, so from this point onwards, let's make it very clear. If you are working on your own on the ALS, but you need any assistance, you can always walk over and pass me. Okay, and I'll see how I can help you. If you don't need any of my assistance, from now on, I'm going to still talk over the microphone to our friends who are listening. You can block me off. Okay? Just tell yourself a mental note I'm looking at the computer. Okay? Okay. So for the rest of us, I will still be continuing on my device here. And I'm continuing to record for our friends who are absent. Okay? Okay. Moving back here. So moving back to the front. Starting at here. So this one, I think you should be able to manage your own and you don't need me to explain. I will give you like about 3 minutes. You work on this page on your own first before I start sharing with you the answers. Okay? Okay, so 3 minutes is up. So I will jot down some of the answers here for those of you for reference. So divide by 10. So I'll move the decimal point one place to the right, such that the decimal becomes a smaller number. So 0.004, 0.169, 0.015, 2.503. Personally, I prefer to draw the arrow at the bottom here. So it's easier to see the decimal point. Okay? Okay, that's okay. I'm moving on to the hundreds one. So for the 100, for the idea of place, I will move the number 4, 1 place, 2 place. It's 200 by 2 places divided by 100. So it's here. Then I'll pop in the zeros. Don't forget to put in the zeros. Then we mentioned about the shortcut. So 0.4 divided by 100 is like the same as bringing the decimal point, make the decimal point possible. Okay, can? Okay. Then this one as well. So 400 divided by 100. So it will be $4. So it's the same. For the idea of place, tens place becomes the tenths place, and then the ones place becomes the hundredths place. Then the shortcut is the same idea. So I have 430. I bring the decimal point to here. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pause my recording here and let our friends work on their things. Hold on. Want you to try something better. Ryan and Shashank, this is very important. I want you to try some division. Now, even though it's not wrong what you're doing right now, so what I see, Ryan and Sasha, you look up. This is very important because you're going to move to primary 6 next year. Okay? Now, I see that you are doing this. You are doing 0.3 divided by 10. You wrote 10 first, is it? 3. So you wrote 0.3 divided by 3, that's give you 0.1. Then you wrote 0.1 divided by 10, and the answer is 0.01. Now, this is correct, it's not wrong. However, you're going to be primary 6 very soon. You need to know of how to move steps in a sequential manner. Ryan, I'm going to say it one more time. If you're going to submit all your working like this, I'm not going to mark you to redo everything for me. Okay? You need to upgrade your skills level. Doing these 2 steps, one after next, is not wrong, but really you're moving to primary 6 already. You can't be doing this for your primary 6. You can't be doing this for your primary 6 working. At primary 6, you'll be dealing with multiple set questions. If your whole page is full of this kind of singular equations, it will be very difficult to score marks. So if there's a need to change, you better start now. We are getting too comfortable with this. So I do not want to see this anymore. You need to learn how to write from one step, how I flow on to the next step. I will write 0.3 divided by 3 divided by 10. Why this is important? Because we learned this from order of operations. Order of operations was very important because it deals with multi-operations, step by step, step by step, step by step. So this one, you see there are 2 operations here. I have 2 equations after that. And you need to be able to learn how to do this. Why did we learn order operations right at the start of the year? So let's say if I take this space to write, the order of operations can go up to 5 steps. 5 plus 3 bracket 2 times 4 minus bracket 2 divide by 2. Look, if you do everything one step, your whole page is full of steps. What we have learned at the start of the year, underline the operation that we are doing, go through step by step. This sequential step by step is very important. When you are going to go, even right now, that's why the test paper is full of things and then you're not getting marks. And P6 is also like that. I have multiple steps. I need to deal with how to do them in a sequential flow, not a full page of equations. Okay? So I'm going to say that to Ryan again. And Ethan as well. I noticed that you also have similar habits of writing. I do not want to see things like 0.74 divided by 2. Then I have an answer. Then the answer divided by 10. Even though this is correct, acceptable, not wrong, you do need the exam to get full marks as well. But it's really your brain is not upgrading to the next level. Yeah. Huh? You'll get the same answer. Just like how do you do the multiplication. You can try it. So the really important part is how you connect these together now in a sequence flow. Instead of writing two separate equations, I know how to write them in a flow. If this works, then next step will be this. Now, if you have done coding before, you realize this is the same idea. The computational thinking method is the same idea. A steps of sequential. Remember all your view did coding. Remember pattern recognition? Remember algorithm? So the key part of algorithm is how we clone steps after steps after steps. So the flow is important. You combine, you key in a code, the steps flow. They are not a jumble of individual equations. It's a sequential flow. That is very important. Okay? So Ryan, please, I want to see when your submission later. Do you hear me? I don't want to see individual steps. Okay? You must push yourself out of your comfort zone to grow. Okay, Skylar, I'm going to show you how come they are the same and acceptable. Okay, you can try it to see. You understand already? Yeah. Yep. You can, yeah, it's like how Ansel said yesterday, he has a preference. Like you do with one thing and the next, and how would you prefer dealing with one thing than the next? Yep. But that's great, Skylar. That's like the most important part of all learning. Yeah. Exactly, Skylar. So that's the most important thing. That's the thing that I've been trying to tell everyone. You are able to decide at which circumstance which method is better. So really, like one of the problems I feel with AI nowadays really limits the brain of thinking. Like last time when you don't have GPS, you really need to figure out how to go to a place. You need to think which place is better and what is the cheaper way. Nowadays, the GPS will tell you. You just press and go. Then people can't live without it. So I feel that it really kind of like decrease the intelligence of people in some ways. So this one here, I can do 10.32 divide by 10 first, then divide by 8. Actually, it's the same thing. So I'll bring the decimal point 1.032 divide by 8. So I will have to do 1.032 decimal point align. So point here, then divide by 8. The first one cannot divide, so my 0, then you have 10. 1 minus 8, 2, 3, then okay? 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 Thank you. This one was also there.